Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the Chinese Tier 8 Premium Heavy Tank, the Death Chariot 112. Now if you did like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Death Chariot, it is a 112, but without the preferential matchmaking. So if you think this tank is the exact same as the 112, no, it's not. It doesn't have the preferential matchmaking. It does have the same armour, which does sound as painful as it can be at tier 10 sometimes, well, when you're facing tier 10s, I should say. But you have a different gun. Now, what the caliber of that gun is, we can only assume it's either a 122 or a 130. The original caliber on the 112 is a 122. And it has 460 alpha over the standard 390 that the 112 has. You've got 208 pen on the standard AP, with 250 pen on the heat rounds. Now, 208 pen is obviously better than the standard 112, but it's still fairly low for a tier 8 heavy tank, and that actually struggles to pen quite a few tanks at tier 9 and 10. There's a lot of tier 8 shield pen with 208, but it still finds weird ways of bouncing, which can be frustrating. You got 250 heat pen, like I say, which, yeah, with the shell velocity at 640 meters a second, which your standard shell velocity on the AP is 800 meters a second, the premium heat rounds just hit plates at weird angles and just ricochet shots that you sit there going, Did you really just bounce that? Oh, I thought I should be able to pen that. And it does happen quite often. And as well as that, because it's heat, there'll be some tanks that you can't pen with 208 pen, even struggle in the side. Look at Type 4, Type 5 heavy, that sort of thing. And you go, okay, I'll load heat. But the heat won't work because spaced armor, and it gets absorbed. And that can be also pain for the Death Chariot. Realistically, this gun is very derpy. You got 0.34 accuracy at 100 meters with the build that I run on this tank, with a 2.7 second aim time, which is long. And because you got an accuracy during movement of 1.93 and an accuracy during rotation of 0.78, which is with the build that I run, that's with everything you can have helping the gun. It means that the gun does bloom out a decent amount, and then to add to that, you really feel the aim time quite badly, and it can be just pretty frustrating to use this gun at times, especially against tier 9s and 10s, where you're really having to hit the weak spots to pen them, and you're really struggling to hit those weak spots. And they're not really struggling to pen you, because, you know, their standard pen generally goes through your upper plate or lower plate, with relative ease, and especially if they're firing premium, oh lordy lord, yeah, they just trash you. But you do have 460 alpha on a tier 8 heavy, which, like the Skoda T56, is very nice. That alpha is juicy, and it hits very, very hard, and especially in a matchup like you're seeing in this first replay, it's very tasty. And it can be a lot of fun just to slap out the shots with this gun, because those rock like 491, oh, yeah, beautiful scenes. You also have fairly average heavy tank DPM with 2.5k DPM with the build that I run, which is a 10.94 second reload. So the reload is quite long, but 2.5k DPM isn't horrific for a tier 8 heavy tank. So, yeah. You have 6 degrees of gun depression, which is not the best, to be honest. It's not terrible, but it's very Soviet-esque, because most Soviet tanks tend to run like 5 degrees of gun depression. This has got 6, so that little extra degree of gun depression can be quite useful on a ridgeline at times. But still, if you are on ridgelines, it can be pain in this vehicle, and you have to overexpose yourself quite a lot to be able to get the gun down to put big shots into people, which, yeah, can be awkward. The other thing that's very poor on this tank, which feels a little bit harsh, is the fact that you've got 24 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, which is the same speed as your tracks at 24 degrees a second. The tracks and the turret turn at the same speed, and that 24 degrees a second on the turret traverse is very, very slow, and that is painful. And that's with rapid aim helping it as well, which is why I do it, because the turret traverse is so slow. And you've got a 35 km/h top speed with a 12.61 horsepower per ton ratio, which means that you do hit the 35 km/h top speed, but you generally tend to trundle at about 30. And the hull rotation speed at 24, mixed with that bad turret rotation, just generally makes the mobility of this tank feel very lethargic. And, yeah, it's not the best feeling tank in the universe for that mobility. You do have 486 meters of view range, though, which can be quite tasty for the vehicle, as that means you can spot for yourself quite well for a Soviet-esque type of vehicle. And then, yeah, you've got 1,500 hit points, which you can use to good effect. So what do I run in terms of crew and equipment on this vehicle? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Trap Mechanic, Rapid Aim, Advanced Loader, Gun Stabilizer, and Optics. Optics to be able to get that 486 meters of view range so I can at least spot for myself and not get out-spotted that easily. Gun Stabilizer to knock the accuracy during rotation and movement down as low as possible. The Advanced Loader to get at least somewhat decent DPM. All 3 gun perks in Steady Aim, Snapshot, and Run and Gun to make sure that the gun is as good as it can be in terms of accuracy during rotation, movement, and at 100 meters, because this gun is exceptionally derpy, and if you don't help it, it's going to be horrid to use. And then Rapid Aim, because that turret traverse is very slow, and I really want to try and get it up towards the tracks. It's the reason I don't run clutch braking or the traction system, because the hull rotation is already faster than the turret, and it will make it feel even worse if I made it better. So we finished that first game with the 5 kills, 4.1k damage, the Demetrius, the high caliber, the first class, 1784 base XP. A really nice game there for the Death Chariot in a pretty nice matchup there on Vineyards. And we're on to the second replay, and this second replay, it's a very tier 8 game on this map, which is... it's in front of your face, you moron. Redshire! And on Redshire, we are going to go to the position at F4. Now, that's kind of awkward for this tank, because, again, 6 degrees of gun depression. 6 degrees of gun depression can be quite awkward. But, still, it means that I can take it at my own pace, if you know what I'm saying. I can pull over the ridgeline, pop a shot, pull back, and then not have to overexpose for too long to wait for this very long reload that this vehicle does have. Because, like I said, 10.94 seconds at tier 8, it is a long reload. But, realistically, for 460 Alpha, it's not that bad. If you know what I mean? Like, 10.94 is long, and it feels long. But you're slapping with that, so you take the rough with the smooth. I mean, you consider that you fire nearly 1.5 seconds faster than a Bisonte on its best reload, for example, and that's got 360 Alpha. Yeah. You take the longer reload for that, just slapping Alpha. The only pain is that when this gun misses, and oh boy, it will miss because it is derpy, it's pain. It's pain because you sit there going, oh, I've missed. And then you've got to sit through the reload, right? And that can be painful. And adding to that, obviously, if you're starting to face stuff at tier 9 and 10, that are starting to fire in like every 6 seconds for 400, which there's quite a lot of at tier 10 at this point now. Yeah, they're putting 800 into you for every 460, which, yeah, can be painful. So far, we've managed to get lucky, really. We've taken 1 hit. We've blocked 1 as well from the Jagdpanther 2. We're up to 1,073 damage, make that 1,500 damage. I'm not 100% sure what this Hurlenhund is doing, but he's basically killed himself. And good night, Mr. Hurlenhund. Up to that 1,500 damage, and we're fairly lucky to not have lost more hit points when we did poke over to shoot the Jagdpanther 2, because that was a very, very risky move, because anything that could have been sat back there with that Jagdpanther 2, like that creature, for example, could have taken away a lot of our hit points too, and that would have been fairly awkward. We do manage to get the shot into the creature that was there for 470. I say 1990, party like it's 1999, people. We've got 1,999 damage, and yeah, the gun rolls are, the damage rolls are juicy. We take a risk to try and get an RBRT into the dragon, and again, we get very lucky there that we didn't take a hit trying to get a shot into that dragon. Very, very risky. I wouldn't recommend doing that all that often, but I just wanted to put a big hit into that guy if I could. But being careful of the Draugen down below in the houses, because the Draugen could just say, hi friend, I like you, and pen you for 390, or fire Hesh. If he fights Hesh, you can pen the lower plate, which would set us on fire, because naturally this tank does set on fire quite a lot. It's only got a 12, it's one of those tanks, right? It's got a 12% internal fire chance. It never feels like it. It sets on fire quite often, just like a lot of the other Soviet vehicles, which can be annoying. But yeah. We took a very risky way into this dip, and we're lucky to only have really got penned by... I feel it was the Draugen that penned us, but it could have been something else, because it seems like it wasn't actually that much we got penned for. But we're in the dip, the Draugen's gone, we hit the shot... Did I say this gun's derpy? I said this gun's derpy. We hit the shot on the move on the Dragon, get rid of him, and we see the GSAW 1008 at the back of the map, so we just fully aimed, so we know that it's probably going to hit. Probably. I mean, RNG does like to go, nah, and miss, which, yeah, can be Can be frustrating. But, we try and pop a blind shot at the G-Saw 1008, but he is clearly not there anymore as we missed that shot. But something is firing, it's like, okay, he's behind the rock. So since that G-Saw is now behind the rock, we're going to maneuver into a position to maybe get some shots into the T26E4, which is the Super Pershing. See if this Super Pershing will give us a shot. It's like, come on, Mr. Super P. Thank you, Mr. Super P. 426? 426? Where's my roll gone? I want my 460 Alpha game. What is that? That Super Pershing clearly, well, he's tracked now, so he's not moving. That Super Pershing is clearly like, I'm not falling for that again. I'm just gonna stay right here, nice and cozy, nice and comfy in the corner. So I decide, okay, forget the Super Pershing. There's a TD spotted on the map directly in front of me. It is a Bone Shaker. Wow, it's a Bone Shaker. You don't see Bone Shakers very often, so this is a rare beast in the wild. Shh, be quiet. You don't see these things very often, so you got to be very gentle with it. Very, very gentle with the Bone Shaker, because you want to see them. You want to cultivate them. Ah, he's dead, so he's never returning. So, there we go. There's only one tank left on the enemy team. It is the Super P, who is still hiding in the corner. And I think, you know what? If it's all he's gonna do is give me slight slithers of tank to shoot, I may as well just load HE and see if I can splash him. But we don't need to, as the Panzerjäger finally shuts him down. He was on that HP for ages in the corner. But the Panzerjäger finally shuts him down, finished with the victory. The 1 kill, 4.6k damage. The high caliber, the Confederate, the second class for that 4.6k damage, which is a pretty nice game there for the Death Chariot on Redshire. And we're on to the third replay. In the third replay, we are on this map, which, like I say, is on El Haloof. Now, yeah, this tank is one of those tanks that when you're in a top tier matchup, you feel like you can have a lot of fun with it. But it really does. I can't stress enough that this tank really does feel the pain of being bottom tier, because you don't really have very good mobility. When you're facing tier 9s and 10s, the armour doesn't work. Quite frankly, only the turret armour really works, and even then, they pen your cupolas with relative ease. Your gun derps so often that you can't hit the weak spots of the tier 9s and 10s, so that you really struggle. And then your heat pen is, like I say, good enough to go through quite a lot of those shots you want to pen, realistically, on those tanks. But it's because the shell velocity is so poor. Number one, it's quite hard to hit those shots, because 640 shell velocity is very slow. And number two, it's heat. So the heat gets absorbed by a lot of spaced armour. So you go, aha, I shall shoot you, Mr. E5 that I've loaded heat for. And randomly, on an E5, the shot would just go, oh, absorbed by spaced armour. Which doesn't happen very often on an E5, to be fair, because the spaced armour on the side isn't that much. But take a 705A, for example. 250 heat pen is 50-50 to go through the guy's lower plate. He gives you his side, finally, and you go, yes! You fire at the side of the 705A, no pen. It will always get absorbed because it's heat rounds. Unless you manage to avoid the tracks and the little bits of spaced armor on the 705A, yeah, pain. Same as on the standard 705 as well. It's just one of those things. The tank really does struggle in those kinds of matchups. So, we are, again, fighting this corner here on El Haloof. And this Panther 88 has been, well, making mistakes. I think that's the best way to describe it. He's been making mistakes. We're up to 896 damage. And I think, right, okay, we're going to creep around the corner. You've got to be careful of people that like to sit on that ridge, which would have easy shots into your side as you cross this open. This is one of those that you don't want to just balls to the walls, aggression, push across, because it leads to death very quickly at times, especially if they have enough of a gun line, which is why you take it as steadily as possible. Poke around the corner, see if anyone is camping up on that, well, not even camping, but just sitting there waiting to shoot you as you cross. And if they're not, move across. If they are, you just avoid it, because it's not going to end well. So, we missed a shot there on, oh, what was that? How did that go that far wide? Okay, game, sure. That's this gun in a nutshell. So, we're going to use this distraction. This Oni, I'm not 100% sure why or what he's doing, but we will use his distraction to get rid of this G-Saw if we can. So we put a shot into the G-Saw. I'm dilly-dallying, to be honest. This Bisonte could quite easily start penning us. So I'm going to try and keep moving and get some shots into the G-Saw while also staying as safe as possible from that Bisonte. Sadly for the Oni, he gets shut down by the Arty. The G-Saw starts to turn towards us. I am now safe from the Basante. So we managed to finally reload just in time to finish off that GSOL 1008. And we can come after the VK101P, who is now very surrounded. So we're going to put a big shot into the back of his turret. It's like, hello, Mr. VK. I'm just here for your life. I like your hit points. Please feed them to me, my son. So we put a shot through the back of his turret. 423. Okay, game. 423, meaning we don't put him... Well, we don't hit him for 460. Looking for the shot into his engine deck. Maybe the back of his turret. Poor shot. Very bad shot. We should not have taken that, because that was an easy ricochet angle on the back of his turret, the way it angled. We should just not, for 208 pen, that was never going to go in. And we shouldn't have taken that. So we ended up ricocheting on the VK101P, which was a sad, sad time. So we're going to go see if this Basante is still here. He is still here. I wondered if he'd run away, but he's not. Hello, Mr. Tiger PP. We put the shot through the side of the Tiger P, which tracks him in place. We get a bit of assistance for it as well. Take it. And I really want to get rid of this Tiger P and this Basante if I can. We see the 53 TP at the back. We put a shot straight through his drive wheel, which tracks him in place. And there is something else back there shooting at us. And I'm like, okay, there's another TD back there. It ends up tracking us, which means we take a big hit from the 53 TP, putting us down to 1,000 hit points. We see where the shell tracers are coming from, and I'm just waiting. I'm looking, like, what is that TD? It could be any number of them. So we put a shot in blind. We pen it. Good times. And as the ISM pushes the Basante, which was not advisable, he gets finished off by the Basante, as well as getting hit by RT and the other TD, which has showed up, which is the T28. Now, we're going to make a bit of a mistake. We're going to push in on this T28, because I want to try and help my Tiger 2 friend out as much as humanly possible. So we put a shot through the side of the T28. I should keep going, but the thought of that TD back there, as it pens us in the side, or in the lower plate, sorry, really puts me off. And this is where, when you're against a tank that has very good penetration, the armor on this tank falls apart completely. Now, this is a T28. He's got 248 standard pen, and he's firing standard. He went straight through the upper plate. We ricochet off his lower plate, and he goes through our side, tracking us, and I'm like, oh boy, I've screwed up. I should not have pushed in to try and save the Tiger 2, or try and help him. I'm probably going to die now. But we go for the drive wheel to try and track him in place. And sadly, the gun derps. We hit the side of his track, which doesn't keep him pinned. And he just snaps the shot on the turn in and finishes us off. Yet again, that just, facing that 228 just showed everything you need to know about the armor on this tank. As soon as you face anything with 250 pen, it falls apart. We finished the game with the Ace Tanker, the High Caliber, for that 5.2k damage, 797 assistance. Really nice game for the Death Chariot. It's a shame we just screwed up there at the end there against that T28. That was just a complete misplay in the end, but hey-ho, it is what it is. We all make mistakes. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success.